Welcome to Keep Rolling, and today we're going to be talking about these. These are the Wish Medium frames, and the aim of this product is to provide the best of a flat setup in terms of speed and manoeuvrability, with the best of anti-rocker in terms of grinding performance and wheel back protection. But do they live up to this expectation in reality? Keep watching to find out more. I'll be giving also a rundown of the technical specification of the product and my first impressions on my first skate out on the frame. But first, let's play the intro. You're watching Keep Rolling, and today we're talking about the Wish Medium frame. But if you're just watching the channel for the first time, this is Keep Rolling, the channel that keeps the wheels turning with regular blading content. I'm doing product reviews such as this one, skating vlogs, and also discussion of all things blading. So if that sounds like something that interests you, then be sure to hit subscribe. So let's start with the technical spec of the product. So the Wish Medium, like the original, is a high-low frame. And what that means is that these two central bolts are set higher than the two outer bolts. Let me just get these into focus. What that means is that you can ride a larger wheel on the outside, such as these 65s, and a smaller wheel on the inside, such as these 60s. So what you get then is the benefits in terms of speed and stability of a larger wheel. But because the central wheels are smaller, they're not so kind of cumbersome and inhibiting when it comes to grinds. But because of the positioning of the bolts, the frame rides either flat or with a slight rocker. So I've got them set up with the 65s on the outside, the 60s on the inside, and they ride with about a 1mm rocker. Now there are a range of different wheel size options that you can pair these frames with. They go up to a 68 max on the outside and a 60 max on the inside. Wish provide a rockering table on their website with all the different options and to what extent that will give you a rocker or a flat setup. So I'll leave a link to that in the description. In terms of the length of these frames, there's also two different options. There's the 257mm version, and then there's the 269mm version, which I've chosen for my size 9.5 adapts. Now this is a definite improvement over the original, which was about 280mm long. So that excluded a lot of people with kind of medium to smaller feet, because the 280mm wheelbase was just too excessive for smaller size feet. The ride height of the medium frame is also significantly lower. The original frame rode on a sort of 72mm wheel setup at about 70mm tall. So I found on that setup in particular, it was quite difficult to do alley-oop and true spin top sides, just because you had to burn over so far on those particular tricks. However, on the setup I've got on the medium frames, the effective ride height is about 65mm, so I'm hoping that that should kind of solve that problem for me. It does come at a bit of a trade-off in that you can't have wheels quite as large, but I think that will give a better, more well-rounded performance from this frame. Now, one of the things I really enjoyed about the original frame was the H-block. Let's just pop this into focus again. Now, the H-block on here, as you can see, is really wide because they have pushed these kind of outer wheels as far away from it as possible, which means that you can have a really wide groove on there. That also leaves space for these really nice sort of blocks on the outer edges, which leads to really good wheel back protection. So I'm hoping that this is the same on the medium frame too. They've also got these sort of indentations on the frame wall here. So this sort of section of the frame won't be in contact with the grinding surface. And that means that this section here is the only bit that's sort of touching your ledge or rail, which should really help to reduce friction during grinding and lead to a really sort of smooth feeling grind. So moving on now to my first impressions when I took them out for a skate. And one of the first things I like to notice about any new product I put on my feet is just how it feels when I'm rolling around. I'm pleased to report that with this frame, it definitely felt really solid on underfoot. There was no annoying kind of clicking or rattling from any of the hardware, and overall this just felt really solid, really reassuring underfoot. On to grinding now, and I was pleased to say that throughout the whole session I skated this ledge for about an hour or so. I didn't experience any wheel bite at all. So I was really pleased to find that the H-block design hadn't changed significantly from the original. So it certainly wasn't having any problems with wheel bite. And I think again that these nice, these blocks, on the H-block here, just on these sides, really just help to allow you to be able to kind of sit down on your H-block tricks, so your back royales, and just have no problems with sliding whatsoever. Back royales, unities, saw-based tricks, all sliding really well. I think that indentation in the frame wall as well definitely isn't a gimmick. It definitely did help to reduce friction on saw-based tricks, all of which were feeling, really nice and slick, really smooth, and overall it was a really good grinding experience. They definitely performed how I wanted them to and how I was hoping that they would as well in terms of topside tricks. This kind of wetness on the floor was a little bit limiting to my skating, but I did manage to get an alley-oop top palm, which I held for some way, which I don't think I would have been able to do on the Wish original frame. So I think that they've definitely achieved that trade-off with the lower ride height, definitely feeling much easier to get down on those topside tricks. My only sort of negative experience of my first skate on the frames was that I found that a couple of times that the frame wall was kind of catching on the ground a couple of times when I was turning. I don't know whether that would be a persistent problem or not. I don't know if that's just because I'm used to riding larger wheels, but I did catch it a couple of times, which felt a little bit disconcerting. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on, and I'll certainly follow that up in the subsequent more in-depth review to see if that's been a persistent problem. So my first impressions of this frame are overwhelmingly positive. Rolling around, they felt really solid, stable and fast, and on grinding, I didn't experience any problems with wheel bite. I found a really smooth, almost frictionless saw-based trick. So other than the slight catching of the frame wall, which I'm hoping won't be a persistent problem, I'm really enjoying these frames. I'm looking forward to taking them to a wider range of terrain, skate parks with bigger ramps, street skating, rails, that kind of thing, to get a more well-rounded view of how they perform. But certainly, my initial impression is really enjoying these frames. So thanks for watching this review. If you did get value from it, then please do hit the thumbs up button. It helps to boost this video through the algorithms and promotes blading to the wider community. Also, leave me a comment. If you've skated the frames, what do you think of them? And equally, if there's something you're thinking about purchasing, feel free to ask any questions too. I'm Chris Chadwick of Keep Rolling. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.